Well, I want to welcome everybody to coming today, and especially the media for being here. We received some exciting news from the Department of HUD this week that we were pleased to announce that we have a very distinct guest with us today, our Regional Administrator, Andrew Lofton. And we also have the Region 10 Disaster Recovery Representative, Stephanie Appia. On behalf of the board, I want to express our appreciation to HUD, the administration, our federal delegation for making this happen today, because without all of them, this check would not be being presented to us today. And it is so important for the people that had that disaster of the fires a year and a half ago to get this money to help us recover from that. So Mr. Lofton, our distinguished guest today, his career in public service spans nearly 50 years in municipal, state, and local government, where he has been led by his passion for helping people. He previously served as Executive Director for the Seattle Housing Authority, where he worked for 17 years, and before that held positions at the City of Seattle, ranging from Community Development Block Grant Administrator, Deputy Director of Community Development, Budget Director, and Chief of Operations, and was Deputy Director of Washington State Department of Trade and Economic Development. Mr. Lofton, we thank you for making the trip over from Seattle today. It's snowing on your you guys gonna come over to start snowing here today. So we really do appreciate you being here. And so I want to give you the opportunity to say a few words and let people know why this is so important and why you help make this happen.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, Commissioners, for the invitation today. This is exciting for HUD. This is an opportunity that we have to deliver some funds to you to address the challenges that you will be facing because of the disaster that you experienced in 2023 with the fires. We know how difficult it is for communities to rebuild after that. We know how difficult it is on families and individuals, and we hope to be able to help you in that reaching out to those families, to those communities, to help renovate, rehabilitate, and restore the communities from which they live. This is a significant milestone for HUD as well. This is only the second Community Development Block Grant Disaster Relief Grant that the state of Washington has received, and we are excited that it's coming to Spokane County. And I want to say this is not just a financial commitment. The dollars, of course, are very, very important. But this represents a promise that HUD is here to stand with you as you rebuild and to revitalize the communities that you are so familiar with. The $44 million designated for Spokane County will help restore homes, repair critical infrastructure, and support local businesses that have faced unprecedented challenges. So please join me in celebrating over $44 million coming to Spokane County.
Hold the chair lower, or it was too low, but you want to block you two out.
You gotta sign the back.
Here.
Okay, everyone look here. And if you didn't get a chance to take a photo, it will be part of our Christmas card series next year. So, no, I just wanted to thank Mr. Lofton and representatives for being here today, and I also want to do a special call out to our senators, Senator Murray and Senator Cantwell, for all of the work that they've done. I know that I think the day after, 2 days after the fire, I had the opportunity to walk Medical Lake with Senator Cantwell and stuff, and so and I know that both of their representatives are here with us this morning and have been tirelessly working to try and make today possible. So thank you for all that you do. I want to recall the survey of the devastation that happened with the Gray Fire and the Oregon Fire. It devastated the communities of Medical Lake and Elk and all of those living in the rural area and the north part of the county. This is life-altering. It is something that nobody prepares for, you react to, and then you look for help. And the one thing that I've said multiple times that I love about Spokane and Spokane County is that we are a giving community and we are there to help our neighbors. And the support that the community has given to both Medical Lake and the folks up in Oregon fire disaster is an example of that kind of care for our neighbors that Spokane is known for. We've made steady progress in our recovery efforts, thanks in large part to our local, state, and federal partners. And today we celebrate the partnership that we have with HUD. But we still have a long way to go. And that's not lost on me, as we still have families that are rebuilding and many who have suffered tremendous losses. The funding will help us take additional steps in our recovery, and I look forward to working with the board and HUD to see how we can put these dollars to work. We know, like the recovery efforts, it won't be a quick process. It could take several months to devise a plan that meets the muster and the requirements for HUD before we can actually cash the check. And I do have the deposit slip with me. But I'd like to introduce our next speaker, my good friend, partner in our community efforts, Mayor Terry Cooper, who could touch on some of the unmet needs that still exist in our community. And I thank you all for being here and being part of the journey. Thank you.
Good morning. So great to be with you this morning. We have had a very interesting year and a half, and a lot of work has happened. I do want to give my gratitude to our congressional efforts that have happened. Maria Cantwell, she was there the next day, showed up at, I think, early in the morning for incident command. We walked, we spent time together, and same, with Patty Murray's office. They were both on site, and from that time, they were instrumental in that initial FEMA funding that happened. That wouldn't have happened. It was unprecedented, never happened this way before, never happened that we had individual assistance money come through, and that was because of your great effort, and I applaud you, I thank you, we appreciate you. And then here it is a year and a half later, they're still working and contending. I was getting phone calls the day before Christmas Eve saying, we think we're there, and I was just so encouraged. So we have stood up what's called Spokane Region Long-Term Recovery Group, and that is the national model for working with like HUD funding and disaster relief funding, and you're probably well aware of that if you work with disaster relief projects. And so we're really busy. We have not had a day off for a year and a half. We have a team of people, and it's just silent, but we're busy. We got 8 houses that are ready for finish work. They're going to be done in the next few months. We have 5 teams working right now from all over the nation and local. And then we have another 12 that are queued up. Just happens the funding came at the right time, right as and now we're going to need funding. But when that money flows through the long-term recovery group, which is the national model recognized by FEMA, you'll see those dollars then connect with the local resources, local volunteers, local churches. Churches send out mission teams all over the world. I'm saying we are the mission field. And so we're working with people that are local nonprofits and churches, and that's where we gain the best benefits. So anyway, just sourcing local and having a new way to look at recovery. We'll be taking a tour. I was saying today we need to go out. I'm ready. I got my little bus, and we'll take a tour and show you the progress that has happened with local donor dollars, because Spokane is so giving, so loving, so kind. Thank you for all the money that you gave. It's going to work. Thank you for the county for supporting us, for working through the emergency management money that came, last round. Beautiful things have happened, and I'm just so grateful to be part of it. And again, thank you. Thank you so much for everybody who's contributed to this effort.
So I'll go ahead and call my seatmate, Commissioner Kearns, to the podium. And I also wanted to make sure that I also did a special call out for our previous Congresswoman Catherine McMorris Rogers, for all of the work that she did in partnership with our 2 senators. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Right, hello, I'm your County Commissioner Josh Kearns. I represent District 3, which encompasses the communities that were impacted by the Oregon Road fire. First, I want to thank the Regional Administrator Lofton for being here today. This is tremendous news, and I want to certainly express our appreciation for these funds and the help that these funds will provide for our impacted residents. While it may feel like a mild winter that we have right now, there are many folks that are living in shelters such as RVs that are ill-equipped for cold weather. We hope that these dollars are going to be something that can help remedy those and get those folks back into acceptable living conditions. The unfortunate reality is that many families across this communities are faced with that difficulty. They're still trying to piece together the damage, the devastation that it was a result of these fires. I will never forget the day those fires started, the day after surveying the damage with Sheriff John Knowles by car, and then about a week later in a helicopter with Commissioner French and Under Sheriff Dave Ellis seeing the damage from up above. And I truly is surreal. It's almost impossible to explain the devastation as you look out and see the damage that these fires caused. I look forward to working with the HUD officials, my fellow commissioners, our federal delegation, the senators, our newly sworn in Congressman Michael Baumgartner, to make sure that we can utilize these dollars as swiftly as possible. We do know that there is a process that must be followed. Sometimes under best case scenarios that can take 6 to 9 months, but there's a process in place for a reason. We will move through that as swiftly and deliberately as we certainly can. We just want to make sure that folks know that we are going to utilize these dollars to the best of their ability to help as many folks as possible improve and provide public safety and resiliency for areas impacted by these fires. So I believe that brings us to the end of our speakers. So we will open it up for any questions from those who are in attendance.
Alex from the Spokesman Review. I'm just wondering, you mentioned the process. Can you kind of lay out the process, what that looks like? You said 6 to 9 months. So what does that look like in the middle while people are waiting for these funds?
I'll speak to that. So the county was awarded CDBG DR disaster recovery funds, which is intended, and the purpose of it is for the long-term recovery for the community. There are certain milestones in the grant process that the county will have to do, and the beginning would be the needs assessment. They already have a lot of data that they have collected since the disaster occurred. We expect them to reach to the community to make sure that those numbers are actually correct, that the needs have been reassessed. Between the summer of 2023 and now, there has been a lot of resources that have come into the community that have supported whether it's infrastructure, housing, or economic development. And so the county at this point will need to reevaluate those needs, engage with the community, engage with the tribal populations that were affected by this fire, and then develop their action plan. The action plan does have to go through a 30-day public comment, and that is when the county will determine what projects and activities, what housing projects they're going to support, what infrastructure in support of housing, what economic development opportunities that they are going to help fund. And so from that point, HUD, we will review the action plan, make sure that community feedback and involvement was addressed, and then that's when the funds will start rolling out the door. I'm sure there is a lot of work that has already been done with the long-term recovery group. There may be some FEMA match programs that DR Fund could help with, and so it isn't to say that some of these funds are going to take maybe 6 months, 9 months, it might be years, but at the same time, these funds are very flexible. So a lot of this could be used to reimburse the county, reimburse the efforts that have already been done, as well as look forward to mitigate not just what happened, but any future disasters, whether it's wildfire related or any other disasters that might affect the community.
I have a follow-up question, sorry.
Fine.
Is there a situation like for the uninsured or the people whose insurance didn't cover all all of their expenses, when their house is burned down, like can you guys go through like a scenario and maybe which this would help them? Like, I'm not really sure how that works with.
The uninsured and underinsured is the primary focus of the funds.
Okay.
With us being the Department of Housing and Urban Development, our primary focus is the low and moderate income population.
People out there, I mean, I talked to them on the 1-year anniversary, people were still living in RV, wondering just, why is it taking so long to get programs like this out and rolled out?
So the primary reason is that the funds were not available. The funds were just made available through the passage of a bill in late December of last year. And that bill appropriated and allocated the funds in which this is being distributed to. So it took the Congress to complete the work on the bill, and as you've heard, Senator Murray and Senator Cantwell have been very diligent in working through that process and making sure that funds would be available for Washington.
And just to follow up, 44 million is a lot of money. From the county commissioner's perspective, how much work do you think 44 million can actually go towards this long-term recovery process?
You know, because the process to get access to the funds is a community-driven process, it'd be premature for us to comment on, we want to do this and this. It's actually the community, the long-term recovery group, the affected individuals that'll determine and help shape how we will disperse the funds and engage in the recovery effort.
Shannon with Crum 2. I know you said a needs assessment still needs to be done to figure out what the needs still are. And this may be a question for Mayor Cooper or Commissioner Kearns, but is there any estimate right now between Elk and Medical Lake, how many people are still in need right now? How many people are living in those RVs or shelters?
So, you know, as with the funding, we can use the funding that we have, and many needs assessments have been done, and we've been working with folks all through the criteria, just to get them back in a place where maybe they can not be whole, but get their legs back under them and get started again. So I would hate to give you a number. For instance, we had 34 people in RVs that are still in RVs. Some of those we were able to purchase covers that would go over them. They're connected to water, power, sewer, and they're like, we can live. We're gonna make it, you know, because there was no funding further to do things. This next round is gonna reassess all of those people. So I think it's important the community knows that you came before. It is difficult, and we understand that it's, again, answering questions, filling out paperwork, working with the community leaders, but we really want to know what the needs are, and we need a full deep dive again on where everybody's at. So it looks at where were you before, you know, where are you now, and what is the gap, you know, between what you really need. And so these dollars can go a long way because of the flexibility, and I would just encourage the public and the media to help us keep that message out there, that when we have these community meetings, these are real dollars, and they're really people who care, and we need to know who needs help still. So some folks, like I said, they're just like, we're okay, we're probably gonna make it, but there is more help. And when FEMA came in late, they were tremendous help. Millions of dollars went into the community, and people got help with wells and sewer systems and, you know, septic systems and things. They would otherwise have just been dead in the water. So anyway, just to say, I couldn't give you an exact number, but I think that we need to reach out again. I think we're currently working with about 40 people. We have 8 homes that are halfway built, 2 in Medical Lake, 6 in Elk. We have 5 teams, as I said, coming in, working to get those finished. 12 are in the pipeline. But you think of those folks that are out there in RVs that said, I think we can live this way, I think we can make it. Well, maybe there's more we can do. So I'm interested to see how we can really, and then the city, like the city of Medical Lakes and that infrastructure, we didn't have a huge loss, but the impact on the roads in some of those communities that now 185 homes on the west shore of Silver Lake, there's nothing left but potholes, and there's just trucks in and out of there all day long. So things like that I'm interested in seeing how we can help. The impact to the economy, in the city of Medical Lake was huge. I mean, just been tough when half your community doesn't come back for a year and a half, So anyway, I hope that helps a little bit, but I would say future engagement is the key for all of us to be successful.
With every one of those agencies, they have their own unique set of requirements that have to be met. And so the challenge is matching your needs with the requirements from the agencies to try and get everything covered. And so while we've exhausted a lot of funds that have already been made available to us, as Mayor Cooper indicated and Commissioner Kearns, there's still a lot of need out there. So hopefully as we go through this community process, we'll be able to find different pockets where these funds can help fill and complete the process of rebuilding both of these communities.
I think just one last one. Obviously, it's going to take time. It's only been a year and a half, and these fires were devastating. When you look at 44 million and how much progress there still is to go, how far do you think, once we're exhausted with the 44 million, we're going to be in terms of getting life back to completely normal before the fires in the Medical Lake and Elk communities?
I can say something about that. I think it's gonna go a long way, honestly. And the goal, government doesn't always do a good job of making people whole, you hear that a lot, but this is gonna go a long way. When FEMA came in and assessed the work that this county and the long-term recovery group and working with Salvation Army did, they were amazed. They said, nobody has 8 houses standing in 17 weeks from the start when we said, yep, we got the materials we're gonna build. Nobody has this depth of recovery already. And while it seems those days just seem so long to the people in crisis, a year and a half, we have seen an incredible amount of recovery. So I wanna say hats off to Spokane. Although it's painful, we are having an incredible recovery. And I think this 44 million is gonna go a long way. I expect it to be absolutely resilient. And it will only continue because during that process, the rest of the community will be engaging. And then all we do is just continue until it's completely done. So I think I'm an optimist, 100%. But if you have a need, we need to know. And then again, there's limitations on some things, but then how do we raise up this community to fill in those gaps that maybe this funding doesn't cover? So I want to be thinking about that too, so that nobody is left without services if we can help them. Thank you.
Last question?
I just wanted to say, speaking of those community meetings, do you have one in the immediate future that people should know about where you're going to talk about these funds in future detail?
Those meetings haven't been scheduled yet. They will be, and there'll be plenty of public notice. We've got great staff with the Community Development Department and with the Long-Term Recovery Group and some of the other agencies like Salvation Army and others. So once we get fully engaged with everybody, be able to set that calendar and those meetings, then we'll be able to come back to you with that information.
I'd like to also put in, I know some of our early conversations are, I think we certainly want to have those community meetings located in the impacted areas for the folks that are in the communities, Elk and Chattaroy and out in Medical Lake, and making sure that we're making it as convenient for them to attend those meetings as well. And I do want to go back to your previous question, Adam, about, we talked about how far these dollars will go, and it's difficult to put a timeline on those because when the fires were burning, we had instances where within a matter of days, there were impacted homeowners that were already reaching out to contractors, trying to get somebody in contract to come in and rebuild. We had folks that were immediately trying to remove debris from their properties. We had other folks that it took them a very, very long time to start that process. I mean, when you go through such a traumatic experience like that, everybody's gonna move at a different speed on what they're ready to do. There are folks that wanted to spend, you know, a much lengthier amount of time to see what they could find, what they could recover from that property. And so that's why it is difficult to put a timeline on sort of that process, because we need to make sure that we're being as accommodating and moving at a speed that is comfortable for those impacted families as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you all for being here again. I'm so appreciative to Mr. Lofton to be coming over from Seattle and Stephanie, and to really be helping us, guiding us as we move forward on with these funds. And I do want to just make sure that, you know, all 5 commissioners are here. This is so important to us. You know, this is our community, it's your community, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing with these dollars. So thank you all very much for being here today.